warriors. No, humanity's fleets were seen as defensive patrols at best, not instruments of war. They were underestimated, and the Dominion's generals reveled in that underestimation. One Karatek admiral raised his mandibles in triumph at a war council. "They will weep, but they will not strike. They will beg, but they will not bleed us. Earth is weak. We need fear them no longer." Laughter echoed across the chamber. But far away, on a silent blue world orbiting a yellow sun, no one laughed. The quiet before the storm. The news of Horus reached Earth. No screams, no chaos, no grand speeches, just silence. The footage of burning colonies was received by the Terran High Command. Politicians fell quiet. Generals stood still. Civilians who saw the broadcasts wept not just for the loss of Horus, but for what they knew would come next. Because humanity remembered. They remembered Earth's history, soaked in centuries of war. They remembered cities burned in ages past, civilians slaughtered by arrogant invaders. They remembered patience held until the line was crossed, and they remembered what always followed when patience ended. Across the Sol system, silent mobilization began. Shipyards that had slumbered under civilian production went dark, then roared to life with military construction. Orbital rings flickered with the ignition of war engines. Communications channels carried no threats, no bluster, only a chilling declaration broadcast into the void. Horus has fallen, Earth remembers, the debt will be paid. The galaxy felt the shift, trade convoys rerouted, border empires whispered in nervous tones. The Karatek, arrogant still, dismissed the silence. But veterans of other wars knew better. Humanity's silence was never peace. It was the breath before the fire. The black sky awakens. The first sight came in the Mataris expanse. Karatek scout ships, patrolling confidently, reported movement on their sensors. A shadow eclipsed their readings. Then the shadow became a wall. Terran dreadnoughts emerged, their hulls kilometers long, bristling with cannons the size of cities. Carriers followed, each releasing wings of fighters, sleek, predatory machines that swarmed in silence. The stars themselves dimmed as Earth's fleets spread across the void, formations so vast they blotted out the constellations. The Karatek scouts screamed warnings across their channels, but it was too late. With one command, the void erupted. Rail cannons fired slugs at near-light speeds, shattering Dominion cruisers in a single impact. Swarms of Terran missiles cut through shields like paper. Fighters danced among the wreckage, reducing proud warships to nothing but husks. The Mataris expanse burned with the light of vengeance. And that was only the beginning. The march of retribution. The Terran fleets moved with cold precision. One by one, Dominion border systems fell. Worlds that had once jeered at humanity's weakness now watched their own skies turn black with Terran warships. Orbital defenses crumbled under bombardments so calculated, so overwhelming, that resistance lasted mere hours. The Karatek responded with fury, sending their grand armadas to meet the Terran advance. But for every Dominion fleet that gathered, humanity unleashed something the galaxy had forgotten it possessed: total war. Entire formations of Dominion battleships were erased by Terran Nova cannons, whose blasts consumed whole squadrons in a single burst of blinding white light. Dropships rained from carriers onto Dominion worlds, and Terran soldiers, armored giants encased in exosuits of steel and plasma, swept across the surface like storms, unstoppable and merciless. Every battle was not a fight, but an execution. Karatek commanders who had once laughed now stared in horror at their tactical screens as Terran formations advanced in perfect silence. the only transmission received. This is not war, this is payment. The shattering of the Dominion. The climax came at Kareth Prime, the shining capital of the Dominion. The Karatek gathered everything they had: fleets upon fleets, orbital cannons, legions of soldiers, all assembled to repel the Terran advance. The sky above their world boiled with the heat of engines and weapons. They believed their homeworld would hold. But the humans did not arrive as a fleet. They arrived as an ocean. Dreadnoughts poured from the void, so many that the starlight itself vanished. Carrier wings blackened the atmosphere, their fighters swarming like locusts. The ground trembled as Terran kinetic strikes rained down, tearing apart entire mountain ranges to break defenses. The Dominion's proud armadas charged. They died in silence. Their ships cracked and burned, one after another, until the void around Kareth Prime was filled with nothing but fire and wreckage. The Terran fleet moved through it without pause, without mercy. On the surface, Terran soldiers landed. They did not ask for surrender. They made no speeches. They simply advanced, sweeping through cities, tearing down symbols of Dominion pride, dismantling everything the Karatek had built. And at the palace, the great council of the Karatek was dragged into the light. Their commander, the same who had mocked humanity in the plaza of Oris, was executed where he stood. The last words he heard were not shouted, not angry. They were cold, spoken like a verdict. Oris remembers. The aftermath of fire. When it was over, the Dominion was no more. Entire fleets lay as drifting wreckage. Their worlds, once filled with arrogance, stood silent under Terran control. The galaxy looked upon the ruins and realized the truth. One colony had burned, and in response, humanity had set fire to an empire. Other species whispered among themselves, horror thick in their voices. They had thought Earth weak, restrained, civilized beyond the thirst for vengeance. They had thought Oris would be forgotten as just another casualty in the endless wars of the stars. But now they knew. Humanity's patience was vast. They would build, trade, and seek peace for as long as the galaxy allowed. But when peace was broken, when arrogance spilled human blood, then the response was inevitable, unstoppable, and absolute. The survivors of the Dominion told the tale in hushed tones, never daring to raise their voices. Never provoke Earth again. And in the silence of the galaxy, everyone listened. The stars above Calves Prime were peaceful the night the skis fell in fire. The colony had no warships, no planetary shields, no expectation of war. Families farmed the rich valleys. Children played in domes of glass overlooking oceans that shimmered like liquid sapphire. Humanity had built this world as a sanctuary, not a fortress. Then the Zaranth Armada descended. Their cruisers tore through the atmosphere, spitting fire that burned whole settlements to ash. Civilians were vaporized before they even understood why. The Zaranth didn't conquer, they eradicated. On the bridge of the lead destroyer, Admiral Vor laughed as he watched human distress signals flood across comms. Pathetic creatures, he sneered to his officers. So fragile, so soft. Their colonies are nests of insects. Today we crush one, tomorrow we will erase them all. His crew cheered, reveling in slaughter. They broadcast their triumph across open channels, daring anyone in the galaxy to challenge them. As the last human cities on Calves Prime burned, Vor spoke the words that would damn his entire species. Let Earth know we are not afraid of them. When arrogance drowns out wisdom. News of the massacre spread quickly. The Zaranth reveled in it, broadcasting images of the burning colony to every trading hub, every neutral world. In cantinas and marketplaces across the spiral arms, aliens whispered, "Earth will do nothing." They talk of peace, of diplomacy. They are too civilized to strike back. The Xaranth fed the illusion. They will cry, they mocked. They will beg, but they will not fight. The galaxy remembered humanity's patience, their endless councils, treaties, their attempts to avoid war. To many, humans were builders, negotiators, dreamers. Strong, yes, but restrained. The Xaranth mistook restraint for weakness. And so they celebrated, raising toasts to their victory, as ash still fell from Calvus Prime's poisoned sky. Their fleets returned to dockyards, unguarded, unafraid. They had struck a nest and thought no hornets would come. But in the silence that followed, Earth's answer was already being forged. The silence before the storm. For 6 weeks there was nothing. No response from Earth. No fleets mobilizing, no threats delivered. The Xaranth grew even bolder, raiding human trade convoys, enslaving survivors, laughing as they spread their terror. But far from prying eyes, deep in the Sol system, the silence was not weakness. It was preparation. Across the black void, the Terran defense network came alive. Orbital shipyards glowed like forges of steel gods. Dreadnoughts, vessels the size of cities, stirred from their cradles. Carrier fleets refueled. Weapons systems locked into place with the sound of thunder echoing across vacuum. On encrypted channels,